All right. He's like, yeah, look, you'll see it. I went home like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Anyway. My turn.
Thank you.
Yes?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As our custom, a moment of silence, please, for men and women in uniform and those on the front line of this pandemic. Thank you. We'll open the meeting 2 minutes after 6. First call of business is to accept the resignation letter from Dave Burgess.
Make a motion that we accept the letter of resignation from Foreman Berger.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. We need to elect a vice chair, and I would like to nominate Cindy Egan as a vice chair. Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple of adjustments to the agenda. Number one, Cindy would like to talk about the Owl Street project, get an update, and ask some questions. We'll do that under old business number 8. We have a quitclaim deed adjustment to be made under consent items. We'll do that second to the book 4010. This will be 4009, page 298. Is that all of it, Tracy?
Yes.
Thank you. Could we have a motion to review and approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes Monday, July 20th, 2020 with any additions or corrections.
I'll second.
Is that a typo? Or that type? I have August 3rd. Oh.
Am I looking at the wrong one?
No,
No, I'm looking at the right one.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, that was my bad. I didn't change the date and stuff.
So that is a typo?
Yeah. So that's actually the correct date.
Oh, sorry.
I
August 3rd.
apologize.
Yeah. I did the right thing.
I'll second the amended motion.
Yep.
Was Jessica's last name spelled right?
Question?
Was Jessica's last name spelled right for the school board?
Yeah, Boncher has 2 T's.
2 T's, all right.
Yes, I double
Couldn't
checked.
remember if that was something like that.
Yeah, Boncher does have 2 T's.
Anything else? All those in favor? Thank you. Public to speak under non-agenda items. All set, Mark? Chris, do you have anything? Lisa Scribner, anything under non-agenda items?
No,
You've got to unmute yourself if you're going to ask anything, or just say yes or no, please.
no,
No?
thank you,
Okay,
sir.
I didn't hear you, I apologize. All right. Boards and committees, we received minutes from the planning board, regular meeting, questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Consent items. First one up is Rangeley Tennis Group Tennis Social.
I'll make a motion to approve the event permit application from the Rangeley Tennis Group for a tennis social to be scheduled for August 26th with a rain date of August 27th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the tennis courts in lawn area.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Yes.
Did the Parks Commission approve it too?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anything else? All in favor? All right. Thank you. Chamber of Commerce Family Fall Festival. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the event permit application for the Rangeley Chamber of Commerce Lakeside Family Fall Festival at Lakeside Park, scheduled for September 26th of 2020. And it sounds, provided they follow the current COVID-19 guidelines.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
It's fine.
Yeah,
Just so you're aware, Chamber obviously is going to be part of a greater, the October Fall Festival. Joanne Dixon presented it as part of the Health and Wellness. The goal is to have as many community members and businesses participate so that the rec program is going to do a pumpkin patch up next, which is pumpkin carving and painting. Other businesses will do other programs. So our request today was that they fill out kind of a generic event permit so that you don't have to worry about each entity coming in and doing utilize town property. Allowing local permits. We have one giant fall festival permit. Then they're aware of kind of the overall scheme of the whole event, not just each. They're both same thing, but I think it'd be better and easier for you guys to motion. You know, just kind of blend it next rather than allowing next one.
So do they need to list all that are participating? Do they need an amendment to this?
No, so this is, they are premature, but they went one step further and provided their own event permit just to keep themselves safe that they are on the board. But I think,
There'll be another event from.
No.
Okay.
The plethora. I spoke with
sorry,
Joanne Dixon today, and
Okay,
she'll be submitting a separate event permit for the other plethora of local businesses that
that's what I want.
okay.
will be participating, yes. So expect that at the next meeting. This was just for the chamber portion of it.
Okay.
any more questions, John?
And everybody signed off on it?
They didn't request anything from any of the departments.
Okay. Did
So-
the fire commission approve it?
Yes, Jim's signatures on there.
Last page, Shelley.
Hmm?
The last page, Jim Janassi's signature. at the
Oh,
bottom.
perfect. Thank you.
It's easy to miss.
I wasn't gonna point that out. Being the new
Well,
vice
no,
chair,
put that
thank you.
signature.
No, well, it's good. We have a lot of marked ones today, so.
Yeah,
I'd like to look around the room, so I'll start with you over here and then I'll go around.
I'm getting it.
Okay, good. Anybody else?
Yes.
Good. Anything out there? Good. All those in favor? Thank you. The Apostolic Church Children's Bible Hour Picnic. Cindy, is that the Congo Church?
no, it looks like it's a church out of Stratton. Because we don't have apostles.
It's on Stratton Road.
Yes, yes.
It says 16 Stratton Road. That kind of confused me. I didn't know where the heck this thing was.
The 418 numbers.
I don't know, yeah, I mean, I saw the 418 number. I have no idea who the
I don't
secretary
either.
is.
I know
I mean, I don't have a problem being
but
in
I'm
the
not
park.
familiar with the church.
Yeah, I don't have a problem being with the park, but I just didn't know what.
No, yeah, I mean, that's the contact name, address,
Mhm.
you know, info, but I don't
What
know.
confused me, it says 16 Stratton Road, Rangeley. All right, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the event permit application for a picnic and children's event requested by the Apostle Church to be located in the town park on August 23rd from 2 to 5 p.m.
Second?
Asking for nothing. You just needed the park and the restrooms. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Vendor's license, Alan, Deb, and AJ Elms. Vendor's license. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the vendor's license application for site-specific on
Site specifics, let me just help you. The Philbrook location they're talking about is where Dead River, next to the laundromat, on our little front lawn there.
okay, so but there's no physical address for it, so we'll just say to be located at
2385.
2385 Main Street in Rangeley.
Place with a nice new siding.
Yes,
This is what,
Place with a nice new siding.
coming.
Looks good.
They're gonna have to work around that as we go, but that's, yep, 2385. And the Town and Lake Motel, I think, is 20, I'll get to it, 2510.
and at the Town Lake Motel at 2510 Main Street on the day specified on the application. Second.
Questions from the board?
No, just want to know publicly, it's for rustic, they're selling rustic wood home decor. It's a 30-day application for crafts, etc.
Second. What was it?
Yeah,
We're
I was
gonna
I was
show-
just further qualifying.
No, I couldn't remember.
Shelley second.
Oh, Shelley did.
Town Lake is 26.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I'll amend that.
So anything else from the board? Yeah, Mark, you had your hand up?
That was my question, what the nature of this vendor's license was. What?
Rustic wood home decor is the description. Chris, you had something?
2668 is Town Lake.
I'll amend my motion as such.
I'll say amendment.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Second. Any other questions? You guys got any input with any of this? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you for your updates and addresses. We have two quick claim deeds. Book 4010, page 3. You have that documentation in front of you. There's been, well, you read it. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the municipal quitclaim deed for the property located at 82 Fonts Road. And this will take care of satisfying the lien certificate recorded at book 4010, page 3.
Discussion? Questions? All in favor? Thank you. Next one is 4009, page 298. Need a motion. If you want to take time to read it, go ahead. That was handed out to us today.
All right, thanks.
It came
I
in
don't have
today. Should be right there in front of you.
Ethan took mine.
Probably did, actually. Yeah, I did. Here,
Oh, okay.
you have mine. Oh, I was over there.
Oh, goodness.
Sorry.
I'll make a motion that we approve the municipal quitclaim deed for the property located at 5 Marble Hill Drive, satisfying the lien recorded at book 4009, page 298.
Any discussion? All in favor? Next up, yes,
Just to update, the third one that we had in our package last week, we made contact today. It's an elderly lady, maybe slightly some dementia. The son said he is now aware of what's going on, and so he's going to take care of that also. As of this meeting, and we decided today. So just so
Okay.
you're aware.
It's good to know.
Yes.
thank you. Next up is appointments. We'll do these one at a time. We have a request for the cemetery committee, Sally Church. Paperwork is in front of you.
Make a
Go
motion-
ahead.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to approve Sally Church's appointment for a one-year term to the cemetery committee.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Thank you, Sally. Next up, zoning board of appeals, Brian St. Louis is, next, if you'd like to be on the board. You have the paperwork in front of you. I need a motion.
Is there a particular term length with this?
I think it's 1 year is all we can do for.
Okay.
for-
Make a motion to approve the request for appointment submitted by Brian St. Louis for the zoning board of appeals for the period of 1 year.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Next, we have a planning board, Luke's Royce. I recommend we table this to a further sometime in the future.
Is that your motion?
Yes, please.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next up is Jim Ferrara for the Airport Commission. Need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the appointment of Jim Ferrer to the Airport Commission And just for a term of 1 year, correct?
Correct.
Second.
Favor? Thank you. Just so that you know, what we've done here tonight will reflect on the last page, farther down our agenda as we go over on the boards and committee vacant seats. We'll have to subtract those numbers that represent what we've done here tonight.
And I made that form before I left it up on my table, and I put it in the packet, so.
Correspondence? No correspondence, thank you. Old business. You're up, Keith, Allen Street.
Okay, and I had a meeting with the engineers and the water district, the M&H on Friday. Pipe work is 99% done, aside from any kind of adjustment for as we bring the road up. Box cut is now complete, so now we've got the estimation of material, all the new base material in, and as of today, the surface gravel has been probably at 95% place. M&H's best guess is we're hopeful, looking at pavement as early as next week, base pavement. And then curbing, obviously, depending on pipe schedule. If we get pavement next week, curbing will be a following. Which in that we can obviously get sidewalks, base set up, and then look at pavement for the sidewalks after that. They're hoping to get base pavement down as we come back down with the curb out after all that. Afterwards, the road is complete and good shape. Dust mitigation will be taken care of. Kind of where we're at on Allen Street. We're making good headway. We'll leave off. They want to do surface pavement, but I want to wait until next spring. Let the road work for the winter and see how drainage and everything looks out there. Tight crosswalk.
So I just wanted to revisit, back on June 1st, we had voted to approve to add width to the bottom area of Allen Street. And this is before we got the information regarding the overlook sidewalk. Okay, the overlook sidewalk cost was presented to us at our first meeting in July, and the town's share increased by $121,472 from what was previously quoted. And I'd like to put a pause. I'd like to suggest that we put a pause on adding width to Allen Street, given the additional expense we're looking at with the overhead, with the overlook sidewalk. And I mean, I've been up and down Allen Street a number of times, and just thinking about it, I think we were given almost a $200,000 additional cost to widen it. 189. I mean, it's a slow speed travel area anyway. And it certainly isn't nearly as narrow as High Street is. So I just want to put that out there, that given this extra expense with the overlook sidewalk, I think we should revisit Allen Street and the widening for further discussion, perhaps when Joe Roach is on board, just out of an abundance of caution and spending.
What was the comment?
I didn't say anything yet.
Oh,
So
go ahead.
I'm not against that by any means. We can definitely look. Joe is a very knowledgeable man. I will remind you that we came in at $500,000 less on Moon Lake Road, and probably another additional $150,000 off of Fall Mountain. So we've saved substantially in those two areas. Only other concern about holding off on curbing is that transition onto Cross Street with the platform. It's a choking point. It's just going to be a jam. I mean, we can make things work. Not just something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
The upper half we can obviously bring lay curving to the new standards, but that lower half will be a bottleneck as we come back into it.
That was a concern when we started this whole process.
But definitely respect your thoughts.
You think?
Or our option was, our other option was, if we were gonna do that, was to purchase a smaller machine, a smaller, plow truck. Was that what we were talking about?
That was one option. The other option obviously is you have to be a little more respectful of your wing and just have to take the wing up and shift the whole truck over. But even then, you're still gonna have a narrow roadway. Just be cautious. Operator has to be very responsible for picking the wing up and oncoming traffic would have to anticipate any kind of pull-off point or stopping.
Anything else? What's that? Else that's it?
Yep.
Okay.
I just, like I said, I just would like further, before this moves forward, I just would like further discussion, especially with Joe Roach on board and his knowledge of.
We will have to, I'll say no, that starts next week. We'll have to make that discussion relatively quickly because we're going to be in motion to do that.
So let me ask you this, and given what Cindy just said, holy smokes, that's even harder. Joe comes on Monday, bring him up to speed, obviously, on that. Are you going to move on the lower part before our next meeting?
No.
Okay,
Well,
good.
no,
Well, let me make sure of that. So,
nothing I'm aware of. As of the current schedule, schedule discussed on Friday, again, will take place with paving from the school street portion up and establish curving off that side first before we remove the lower. As long as their schedule stays intact between the three owners.
Okay. Question?
Yeah, I just had a couple of quick questions, because I've heard quite a bit about this, the curving issue and the width. Do we get any credit back from the engineers who designed this? Because we did spend quite a bit in engineering costs. These widths and circumferences, I would have thought would have been caught on the design part for those pieces. And I know we had some other design challenges with elevations and those pieces. And also as an alternative, because of the cost pieces, is there a way to just address that corner and the redact in that area in the widening and deal with that particular issue? Because my understanding, that's the biggest challenge. And I know traditionally for the past 4 or 5 years, we've picked up at least one new plow truck driver a year. So there's always a learning curve. I've noticed that on my street as well. And so that's my concern, is that the amount of money that we could be out for just revising that corner and maybe having some discussions with the engineer, it's far going to outweigh damage to a $200,000 truck and wing, and that gets pricey, and that won't be covered under insurance or anything else. So to me, it's one of those things where I think it might be worth spending a little bit of money to save money on the other side. And I appreciate those other costs that we've got, but if we're saving some on loom and those pieces, that maybe there's a $50,000 solution that rather than 189, but addresses the primary issue for equipment damage. Because when it's a heavy storm in the winter and you've got big snowbanks, a lot of things happen, and might not click in, especially if it's hour 8, not hour 1. I just see it as we'll be scratching our heads about this in February, saying, I wish we'd spent the money. So that's my only thing to ask, that you, as a board, look at that.
How's that, Chris?
Yeah.
Mark?
I think that might be a good idea to look at the intersection itself and not the whole piece of road. I watched that Zoom meeting when this came up for discussion, and it was 180 or some thousand or whatever. And a week later, they paved the sidewalks and fixed the sides and all that. And I'm thinking,
They fixed the sidewalk on the side that isn't going to be touched.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
All the movements on
Yes.
the other side?
That's
That
correct.
was my question.
Yes.
Are they doing this and going to dig this back up?
No, but that brings up, that's a good point, Mark. That whole side where the sidewalk is engineered has to stay there like it is. That's
Okay.
It's the other side that we're trying to regain the width and pave over the underground culvert that is already there.
Okay, that makes me
Yeah.
feel a little better.
Yeah, if you remember correctly in that Zoom meeting, we talked about drainage down to the catch basins.
Yeah.
And the curb is at the catch basin to shunt it all in, and we were talking about a grade up. Well, everybody was concerned about ice buildup. Well, we both know that the minute water starts flowing, that ice is gonna be gone, and it'll run into the catch basin. So, but that discussion didn't come up.
Yeah, I've looked at it since then. I've driven up and down a bunch of times and, you know, compared to other roads in town, you know, that are equally as narrow, that have as much traffic that the town plows and things like that. I tend to think that, the problem was, you know, not as big as what it was. You know, I'm no expert by any means, but, you know, it just seems to me that it's exaggerated. There's lots of roads in worse shape with tighter corners and things, and we seem to be able to deal with those. And, you know, $180 is a lot of money.
If you take a look at the curbing right now, not to support it or go against anybody's opinion, or I respect you bringing it up, look at the curbing coming down Allen Street, taking a right-hand turn, going over on Cross Street. Every single truck's running over that thing. Every single truck. And we're not even plowing, so it's a very good illustrative point. You can see it very clear.
I will, I'll pay attention.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Anything on the new business? You all set for? Yep. Anything on the new business? You're all set there. Page 2. Didn't Paul Harvey used to say that? Department head updates, you have that in front of you. Any questions on any of those? Okay. Calendar, shortened nomination period for November ballot. Kayla.
Yes, so I spoke with MMA Legal, and if we do want to go with the November date with the vote for selectmen, we can do that. I'll make nomination papers available as soon as you guys vote to approve the municipal vote, the 3rd. They do have a shortened nomination process, which I got an email in your packet from MMA Legal that explains that. We're within our timeline to be able to do that and still give the people who pull nomination papers a decent amount of time to get their signatures. It's not as long as normal, but it still gives them enough time to gather signatures.
And we also have enough time for absentee ballots.
Yes, I started a mock timeline today after speaking with MMA Legal. I haven't finalized it yet, but yes, we have enough time to be able to need 30 days to get absentee ballots, and that puts us within that window.
So how, so looking at the November 4th election, we're 30 days is roughly October 2nd. And so how long does it take to get ballots printed? I mean, what are we looking at? So if nomination papers are available tomorrow, when would you want them to do that?
So on the timeline that I was rough draft today, they would be available, I put as of Wednesday, and then they need to be back September 3rd. So if we have from August 19th, then they have to be back for September 3rd. So it still gives them, and then that gives me time on September 3rd to send that to the printer to get the absentee ballots back for October 2nd.
All right, so is September 3rd a Thursday?
I think, yes, the September 3rd was Thursday, so then I could get it ready and send it on Friday. To the
Okay.
printer.
Any other questions?
No, I was kind of doing out the timeline as
Yeah.
well, trying to
No,
be
no,
like,
you
But I have
got
to, I have
to
to
do
see
it.
you
it.
have to, yeah.
I have to see it too. So
Yeah.
I get
We
that.
have to do it. I need a motion so we can move this forward to the.
I'll make a motion that we schedule the selectmen vote added to the November ballot, scheduled for November 4th, 3rd. Thank you. Nomination papers will be available, you want Wednesday? Wednesday, August 19th, due back Thursday, September 3rd, 2020.
Any discussion? John? Ethan? We good?
I would just, not that anybody has to do their job, but I would just suggest that this be well advertised so we
Yes,
can get something done.
as soon as I get the okay, I will start advertising. Absolutely.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank
All
you,
in
guys.
favor? Thank you. August 19th, elected official workshop, webinar. How do you say it?
Webinar.
Webinar.
Thank you. Everybody get that on their calendar? It's 10 o'clock in the morning, correct?
No,
No,
it's like 6 o'clock
that's
at
like
night.
4:30 or 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I'll email that to you. I thought it was 6. So. I
Yeah,
have
it's
it
in the
front,
evening.
But I'll, yeah, it is in the evening.
August, yeah.
So I will email that to you tomorrow.
I thought it was 10. No, all right.
It gets confusing, I send emails.
Yeah, we got a
lot
million
of
of those
training.
things.
Yeah, so just email that,
Yeah.
when we just
Yeah,
log
that's
in from
simple.
home and,
Yeah, I get some Zoom thing, so we'll just make sure everybody got their credentials. You can do it from wherever you want to do it.
Cool.
Okay, next up is Sam's, under other business, Samsung Galaxy Tab for select board communications, etc.
So this is a little bit different than the fire one that I'd given you at the last meeting. This one has the 64 gigabytes of memory. I spoke to Exponet. It's 2 hours to set up all 5 of them with the email and internet capabilities and the security firewalls, all that business. So that's what you wanted from me, was the prices. And
After I read all this stuff, and going back and listening to what we had before and called my IT guy, my brother, this is much better because, as Tracy will tell you, this doesn't have all the ad
right,
that goes on with the other tab that we looked at. So,
looks good to me.
any questions? I need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we purchase the Galaxy Tab models before us for select board communications.
Second,
No more discussion? All set? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, move on to board and vacancy. Turn that page sideways, we can extract. You can see what we have. The airport commission has 7 full 12 alternate members, 4 full vacancies. We've replaced 1, so we need 3 and 2 alternates. For those of you in Zoom land, nobody. Budget committee, we have 7 members. We still need that, 3 vacancies. Cemetery, we have 5-member committee, 1 vacancy. It's now filled. Is that correct, Gail?
Yes.
Yep. HA Purvis Trust, 3 members, 2 vacancies. Ordinance Committee, 5 members, 2 vacancies. Planning Board, 7 full, 2 alternate, 1 full vacancy, and 2 alternates still remains. Zoning Board of Appeals, 5 members, 3 vacancies, now down to 2. Applications for appointment paperwork, they're available, the town the Ramsey website and at the town office. Call the town office with any questions. Anybody knows anybody who'd like to fill any of these things, I encourage you to send them. Questions? Comments?
the planning board, isn't that 5 full members instead of 7?
I think we've always ran on 5. We were set up to have 7 folks,
Okay.
yes, but we're lucky to get 5 people.
Okay.
So we, in the 5 years I've been here and been the secretary, we've only ever.
No, okay.
And it was the same with the zoning board, there's usually only 3 on it, but
Right.
it said 5 is the
Yep.
norm, but we've only ever had 3.
Chris, can you post this to the political forum?
I'm gonna put it on the website if it's okay
Yeah.
with everyone as well.
Great.
You want this?
Certificate,
I can send you a
There you go.
PDF file of it as well, Chris. if you'd like.
Want that? Want it that way?
yeah, just send it to me in a text and then I'll copy the text.
Absolutely.
Super. Thanks, Bruce.
So we can get some of those keyboard cowboys. to
I know, right,
step
to join the movement.
Airport punch list update. I'm assuming everybody got through all of this. And there is 12 items that is given to us by Josh Saucier. And it's rather lengthy, as you can see. I spent a good amount of time in the last 3 days up at the airport periodically each day, looking at all of these items. I had suggested to Keith earlier, and I certainly want all your input on all of this, but number one on our punch list needs to be the gravel around Loon Lake Road that keeps getting kicked up every time something turns. So open it up for questions for Keith, but prioritizing, I think, is where we need to go next for Keith to work with based upon what you have here. Who's up?
Well, probably the airport commission ought to chime in and discuss priorities, since they, as a whole, have more collective knowledge and experience.
Okay.
Question. Did you, when you were looking up there, I haven't seen the punch list, so I don't know.
I'm gonna just briefly give it to you, and I don't want, it's very lengthy, Mark, so I'm gonna just sort of highlight what we've got here. First of all, the widespread areas of grass that didn't catch, that's number one. Around the airfield will need to be reseeded, etc. Next is loom around the pappies need to be raked out, all of them, a significant erosion, rocks are showing. Washout should be repaired. Most significant washouts are in the valley adjacent to the pappies. As mentioned earlier, in many locations, this is number 4, dozer tracks are pronounced, make it difficult to mow. We have talked, Keith and I and others, about this, not to try to forego the airport commission, but this just got to us. So some type of raking, whether mechanical or manual, is warranted. Clean out gravel material from all culvert ends along Loon Lake Road and entrances, disposed. In addition to the previously mentioned areas around the runway, the surface over the change order apron drain installation needs to be repaired and reseeded. Around number 7, around the culverts, the main airport entrance of Loon Lake Road, the lumen's washaway needs to be repaired. It is exposing some significant angular rock. Number 8, there are a lot of rocks and dirt lumps and loam along Loon Lake Road up to the airport entrance. They need to be smoothed out so that proper maintenance can ensue. Road shoulder on the Loon Lake Road, we mentioned. As experienced, the intersection of French's Way and Loon Lake Road and Winter Road, there are large stone material that is getting kicked into the road, etc. We all know about that one. The loom around the runway is pretty thick in places, and it creates issues when the plowing around the lights, when it's not totally frozen, things are sinking in because it's too squishy and such. They experienced that last fall and winter. Loom around, 2 assumptions in the stormwater site location. The permit did not make it into the plans. One is the outflow of the culvert on Loon Lake Road needs to go generally parallel to contours. Things don't work if you can't read them. To the northeast. The second is a ditch to pick up the runoff on that peninsula between Winter Road and French's Way. If you drive by up there, you'll see that section of land that comes out. That needs significant addressing, and certainly will make this all available to the airport commission. So,
has the contractor been up to?
Yes, I don't believe so. No.
Okay, because I was going to ask, what the time frame was. Oh, has the contractor been invited to come up and?
Travis came up with the contract by himself before myself and Mike and Josh were met. Right now, as far as my understanding, because I'm obviously not involved in this as much as Mike is, but I believe they're waiting for the Clinton blessing that this list is appropriate. And I'll put it back and I know that we should start this fall or original. I don't know.
Because it sounds like if a crew came up, they could do all those things in less than a week's time.
Yeah, very possible.
But I don't know if it's.
Very possible, with the exception of Loon Lake Road.
It's been scheduled for the contract.
No schedule as of yet.
Yeah, with the exception of Loon Lake Road, that will be done in a week's time.
There's not that long a section to do those shoulders.
Yeah.
And
again,
I think you're going to continue to have problems there because the corners are too sharp for the length of the vehicles that are hauling those trash containers out of there and stuff. They have a hard time staying in that lane. The tires, but those curves just aren't a big enough radius for the length of the vehicles that use that. I don't think.
yeah, you may be right. So your suggestion is go to the airport commission. My concern with that, Cindy, is that, I'd like to see Keith running this thing and get this thing in gear because we're withholding money. And the list is
Yeah.
pretty detailed and,
Well, I would just make sure that the list is what it is. I mean, I just think that, I think what confused me is you were talking about determining what is a priority. And I thought you were asking us to do that, and I would much rather put that in the airport commission's hands. So, I mean, move forward and get this exposed to the, because, I mean, this came from what, the engineer, so move forward and get it sent to Sergeant, and in the meantime, send it on to the airport commission.
super, I could do that. You with that, Keith?
Yes.
Good? Yes, Mark?
So I wouldn't want the airport commission to be the result of a further delay. So
Right.
the first thing, whoever's, I don't know who's gonna be responsible, but to contact the contractor and get them up there, and they, probably a combination of people, Keith and the engineer and MDOT or whoever was involved in the previous, whoever the honchos were in the first project, they need to come up and resolve this thing and get it done.
If they right with, and my understanding was, once this is talked about tonight, Josh is gonna send a letter to Sergeant. We move forward with what.
Who's Josh?
Josh here with D&K.
He's what?
He's the engineer with D&K.
Okay.
Representative. So the idea was present it to Sergeant, and then they're gonna have a rebuttal, of what they're willing to say was part of the design, what wasn't, and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. We'll kick it in together, we'll go from there. Okay, thank you. Foreclosure information from MMA. Any questions on paperwork that you received? And we had asked for a clarification on this.
Yep.
So good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, Cindy, you all set?
All set.
No? Okay. Next up is timesheet review. We sent all sorts of information for your perusal. It's lengthy, sorry about that, but it's all there as you read through it. What I'd like to do, if it's okay with all of you, is to wait for Joe get on board. We'll bring him up to speed on this, and then we'll have further discussion as we've all had time to take a look at all this, and then bring Joe up to speed. He starts Monday, incidentally. It's coming Monday.
So what, something that, I don't know if it's already been compiled or not, but it might be helpful for Joe to see, what's been taken for vacation time, for
Summary
sick
sheet.
time, what's, remaining, so that when employees, they put in for vacation time, whatnot, Joe can kind of, he'll already have an idea of who's taking what and what's left. So that might be helpful to Joe.
Because with the new employees, they have so much time that they have to be here before this is just one less thing.
Okay. Anything else? Good. Okay. Select board communications. I'll just ask everybody first and then I'll finish up. Shelley, do you have anything?
I do, actually. I received the investment policy and looked at that, and it looks like, so it looks like we should be receiving a monthly investment report for all the funds invested by the town manager and the town selectmen. And it's the purpose of the report, the type of investments. This is supposed to be something that we have a policy for that we're not following. And I'd like to make a motion that we start following our investment policy with the monthly reporting.
Second. It would be nice to have all of the policies on the galaxies. Anything that's relevant, that is a quick resource. Because the fund balance policy, I don't believe that. I don't believe.
No, I had to ask for them because they didn't have the.
Yeah.
the version. And on the fund balance policy, so that if any recommendations from the town manager or the finance director is made throughout, then this is the opportunity that we do that for the fund balance when we get our annual report. So that might be something to, when we get the annual report, to be able to review it and basically us all sign off on it, that we have an understanding.
Do you mean the audit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We already have to sign off on the audit.
No, but this is for like sign off that we've read the fund balance policy. You know how we've signed off on other
Yeah.
policies that we review?
Yeah, yeah.
I just think it's a good idea that we sign off on each policy that we have. But that's only because that's what we're at.
Yeah, that's fine.
No,
Right,
I mean, that's the big,
Your motion is to have the policy on each meeting and report on that? Did I understand that correctly?
No,
Okay.
no, like say like, with this, the fund balance comes up where it gives an opportunity to review it each year with the audit.
That I understand.
So then if there's any suggestions or any changes, we can do it at that time. So
Okay.
at that time, when we get ready to see the annual report, we receive this policy. And then we sign off that we've reviewed it. And then if there's any changes that are recommended by the town manager or the finance director, then we can put them in place.
so by annual report, okay, annual report is the town report. It's not the audit. So you don't mean,
It says, hang on a second, it's right here.
So the meeting where we sign off on the code of ethics, sex harassment, everything, we sign off and we review this policy and accept it.
well,
Is that correct?
that's,
Yeah, that sounds good.
So you're just gonna
It
add.
has nothing to do with the audit.
okay. Well, it's an annual report. I'm trying to understand what Shelley means by that term.
Right, because I'm looking at, let's see,
Because
so,
the annual report is the town report.
right. So what it does is it goes over the policy for basically that we have a minimum of one a month, which is 8.33 of operating expenditures. And then the targeted balance is 2 months or 16.66%. And the maximum balance is not to exceed 25% of the operating expenditures, so long as the cash flow needs. So if we have some kind of report that shows that we're in compliance with this policy is what I'm asking that we,
Oh, okay.
that we confirm. Sorry, I did on two. At first I made the motion about the investment and then the fund balance was the next one.
So,
Go ahead.
so is there some kind of issue that came up that made this
No,
dear to your
but-
heart?
No, but a lot of times what happens is that, looking at the policies, we have them, but we're not actually following them. And then, looking at this, a lot of times when we have our, when we go to town meeting, they want to know exactly what our targets are and what the percentages are. So if we're just basically offering that information up front, then everyone will know.
Yeah, so basically, I think Shelley was on the board when the fund balance policy was developed. And probably the last time the investment policy was tweaked.
Yeah, 2013.
So that was just before. So that's, yeah, I mean, we have policies for a reason.
No argument there. So state, what, did we hear the motion again?
I only got the first motion, to receive, she made a motion to follow the investment report policy and receive it monthly. That was for the
Yeah,
investment.
that's where I was
Yep.
confused.
I'm not
Current
clear on your
policy.
motion for the second one. I haven't-
Right, no, I haven't done the.
Right, I didn't think you had done it yet.
Right, yeah.
So you don't want us to have a reporting every month. I want to be real clear on this. You want us to look at this at the end of the year, as I described earlier, correct?
Well, the report says, or we should change it, that the reporting, that we're supposed to receive that each month, monthly investment report.
So you
And
do want to
all of the
report monthly.
It's, yeah, well, it's,
But we can look to change it or amend it quarterly, but I'm just saying, like, if we're doing,
Yeah, I'm not really wild about having them do any more work than they're doing. If we need it quarterly, I would agree with that.
then we have to change the policy.
Yeah.
right, that's
My
what I'm
point,
saying.
that's my point, you know. Probably the reason it wasn't coming every month, it was, for whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Can you come back, instead of doing this motion now, can you come back with recommendations on what we should do quarterly. Let's make this a policy change. We have time to review it, think about it.
Well, for the policies, then maybe we should have, when Joe gets back, to take a look at it to see what he recommends,
Yes.
and then go
Yeah.
forward with that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're staying on track with what policies that we have.
That's our biggest responsibility is finance.
Yeah.
The board of selectmen, so. Makes sense.
Next meeting,
Yeah, let's make
good with
sure.
that?
Yeah.
You have anything else under that? You had one more thing you said?
No, we were talking about both of them. We were talking about the investment policy and then the fund balance policy.
Okay.
Just want to make sure we're following.
Good. Did you have a comment, Chris?
I was just gonna say, there was two different policies getting talked about there, so at the minimum, I would suggest Shelley either withdraws her motion or amends her motion, then tables. And I was just gonna say, when you deal with investment policy, it's not like you guys are playing a growth policy with
Right.
constant stock. You're pretty much working in fixed assets, so quarterly should be more than sufficient, if not semi-annually, to cover those pieces. But I think it's important that if you can develop a rubric that follows your fund balance that says, these are our target amounts, so when you put in the annual report and say, per the fund balance policy, this is where we're supposed to be, and this is where we are as of March 31st. So when the annual report goes out, it's very clear at town meeting, because it's always a hot button, at least with me personally, of leaving too much in this, in the fund balance rather than putting it back in the taxpayer's pocket. So,
Right.
and I did want to say you did an excellent job this year with the mill rate and adjustments to the homestead exemption was a great idea. We came up with that. I think I've heard a lot of positive comments concerning everything going on and where there's everybody's tax bills. So,
That was a huge request that we do our level best to keep the tax rate steady or lower, actually lower.
So for parliamentary procedure, I would suggest you either amend or table. Those are my-
So can you withdraw?
I amend my motion
To what?
to table it for the review for the town manager.
I second the amendment.
All in favor? Thank you.
Kayla, can you get, or can somebody get us, or get me a copy of those two things? Because I wasn't really gonna vote on it anyways, because I didn't see it, so I want to do that too. That worked out good.
Anything else, Sean? Any communication, Stephen?
I'll set Stephen.
Okay. Cemetery. I have been called by one person very recently and a few others in the past. They're having difficulty reaching the individual that runs the cemetery who works with Kayla. So we need to just bring us up to speed on where we are with that computer program that identifies and so on.
All right, so I just authorized Ray Corson with the GIS software to initiate the town's system. At first, I didn't concentrate on the cemetery, but I'm now going to push this. Working prototype, realistically, probably 2 weeks out. If I push the cemetery, I'll probably say within that same time frame that after. What we'll do is we'll have obviously the tax map overlay on the Google map for the time being, or whatever state has for data. We have cemetery will concentrate and we get survey crew up and we'll plot every single stone and label every stone and have software. The ultimate goal is to have software. Click on the map, click on the stone, we know who's there. We'll have overlays that know what's vacant, what isn't. All the information we want to, let via us or the public can log in also, understand where their family is. We can get all this information tonight. We'll get a time frame, more concrete time frame to tomorrow. I talked to Ray, but we're already in motion as of the last.
And then secondly, from the board, I'd like us to agree to ask Keith to speak with Chip about communication issues that we're experiencing. It seems to have been a historical problem in Kayla's department back into Trish's time. I know when I was purchasing Anyways, it's an issue of communication, and I'd like Keith to address this thing ASAP. And then make sure Joe's aware of this Monday and where we stand.
Sure.
And then if you could call that lady back, I promise you, we talk about it tonight.
I spoke with her earlier today as well. So.
Any discussion on that? Any questions?
Oh,
Yes.
Can I add something?
Yes.
When you go up to the cemetery, could you do me a favor and look in the way back? It's great where Eddie's stone is. It appears that the top of the stone is scun, so it almost looks like a snowmobile might have been on it. And then there's a bench that's in front, so there's the road here.
Yeah.
There's Eddie's stone, and then there's that bench right there. And Steven said it almost looks like a sled probably broke it. So just
But we have,
Mike Anderson thing is tilted, that's the correct.
there's a lot of work, I've been out there, there's a lot of work we've been in communication with over the last couple of years, unfortunately, has yet to be done. I will tell you that after meeting the other night with the cemetery committee, Kayla and I have a list, personally, that I'm gonna see that it's done, stones that need adjusting and resetting, along with future plans for the cemetery in regards to clearing and future plotting. So, I give you my word that I have utmost respect for that facility, and I will make things happen as soon as possible.
Yes.
As far as the cemetery goes, I'd just like to mention that, in my opinion, on the Route 4 side, that it is considerably more attractive with that fence removed than it was with that crooked metal fence in there. Now that the stones have been all redone, it's quite nice to look at when you drive by them.
Thank you, Ron. Chris?
I hadn't, I mean, if this has been covered in a prior meeting, but I just noticed recently, I was just up there yesterday with my mother, there's huge pile in the extension area of dirt with like old culverts and those type of things. And I know that now that some of the COVID restrictions have been, people are trying to do more services up there. Is there a way to kind of make that a little bit more sightly in the near future? Because it's like a 10-foot pile and there's old culverts sticking out of it. We're not showing our best foot forward on that right now.
Unfortunately, sometimes I have to go backwards to go forward, and so the plan is to, I'll communicate with you guys, but I need, this fall was to clear a large portion of property, and then as we manipulate that pile, was to then clean that pile at the same time.
But we that showed it on site, so we don't know because we're still doing the.
We have, obviously, we have some vacancy, yes, but I think it's wise to let's develop property now, get it into a settling motion and let the groundwork. We know it's a wet area, let's clear it, so the water regulated is the right direction, we're not influencing anything else, and we have that future property. Get it done now, the way. So we have, so we're 20 years out of property development, so that we have the future expansion, we're not having these situations where, unfortunately, trying to for the time being, and the current storms that happen over and over again, as they strengthen, as they come through here, we're always in there, bringing trees back or cutting trees out again. So I'd like to just have future sites that are up on it.
I guess I don't know where the material is coming from or how that's.
So it's down the street. So it's down the
Yeah.
field.
My only concern is that the large culvert, 40 years down the road, they go to dig a site.
No,
They'll
be
hold
screened
on
out.
to that.
They'll be screened out.
Okay, so they're gonna screen all the material.
Majority, yeah. We'll get, yeah.
Sorry, I just,
Nope, actually.
actually a few people have asked me what I do, so I was just wondering.
It's gonna be screened out and regulated to go to where that is.
Okay, thank you. for clarifying.
Anything else on the select board communications? Good. No executive session. Guess what? I need a motion. Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Look at that, 2 minutes to 7.
I have it.
Word.
Right to efficiency.
Thanks, guys. I'm home before bedtime.
Mark, I made that comment to my wife driving by the other day. I go, no, I don't like this without the fence here. Hoo, 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 hoo.